Hey, what's up? You're watching GearWire.com. I'm Owen O'Malley, and we are at the 2011 Pitchfork Music Festival. I'm here with Dev Gupta from Twin Sister. How's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you?
How was your heat during the set?
It was okay. I was managed to get through it. It was really hot.
You didn't have any gear failure or anything, did you?
No, our stuff was out in the sun for a while, and I was a little scared, but everything was fine.
So you're playing keyboards with this band, right?
Yeah.
So what do you play?
I have a DX7, which I got for like $200-300 on Craigslist, and then I have a MIDI controller that I run with Ableton, and then I also have this like modular synthesizer, like Eurorack modular synthesizer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
cool. So, how many modules do you have? You have a lot in there?
I think it was like 20.
Oh, wow.
We got it this like 6 months ago to make the record.
Okay. Yeah.
And I started using it live because it looks really cool and there's like blinking lights.
To operator patch stuff?
Yeah, and I get to turn knobs and make noises. So it's fun.
What was the learning curve for that like?
I mean, I still barely kind of feel like I can do exactly what I want with it, But before I ordered it, it took like 2 months to get to me. So I spent those 2 months just like sitting on the internet and like I found this book on like basic synthesis stuff and just kind of read through it. And then once we got it, it was like really fun to play with, and now it's kind of getting more comfortable.
So did you get it like prefab, like with the modules already in place, or?
Well, I placed an order with like the things I wanted, and this one store, Analog Haven, out in California, basically assembled it for me in this case, and then shipped it to me. So it was awesome. They're great, and it's been so much fun to use it.
So you said you got it for the recording of the latest album, which you did like in a house out in the Hamptons, right, in Long Island?
We did some of it in the Hamptons, and then some of it in this studio in Philly, Minor Street. We did basically we would do a live track with 4 of us playing to form the foundation of the song, and then go back to the Hamptons and do some overdubs, and then come back again and do a little more and then mix it, And we would write most of it out in the Hamptons and then go to Philly and record it.
So why didn't you just do everything sort of like in one studio? What was the sort of impetus to get that house out in the Hamptons?
We'd never been in a studio for an extended amount of time, so we were a little scared, I guess, and we've done home recording forever, and it's what we know, so we thought we would put our toes in the water and then kind of figure it out as we went.
So what do you guys, when you did sort of your own recordings, who was the head engineer and stuff, and what did you use to do those recordings?
Well, we spent a ton of our advance on gear stuff. We bought a 2-channel Rosetta, and then a couple of preamps, and then it's pretty easy to use when you only have 2 channels you're dealing with. Right. So once it was set up, it was any one of us could kind of engineer to a certain degree, We used Logic while we were at home, and then Pro Tools at the studio, and it was kind of, I don't know why we made that decision. I guess all of us just got really fed up with Pro Tools.
Was it a nightmare kind of transporting stuff into Pro Tools?
It wasn't as bad as you would think, but it was still pretty irritating. I just don't really like Pro Tools at all, and Logic was fun to use. We'd never used it before, and it was just let's try it out.
How did do you come to find Logic? Would somebody recommend it to you, or?
I'd seen it. I'd seen some people using it, and I was just really, really fed up with Pro Tools. We've been doing stuff on a Digio 2 for years and years, and it's just dealing with that shit. And it's not even really the software's fault. It's just the hardware is entry level. And anytime I hear somebody's record who's made it with an M-Box or a Digio 2, you can immediately tell. It's oh, is that how you made it? It's
got that sound.
Yeah, the highs are weird and kind of, I don't know. It has a very unique characteristic, I guess.
So Pro Tools recently kind of went non-proprietary with their hardware.
Yeah.
Would you consider going back to Pro Tools as the software version?
I guess so. I don't know. I have like little grievances with the software too. They're probably unfair, but I just have them.
Did you guys do a lot of like shopping around to find a house in the Hamptons, or how'd you find the place that you ended up at?
I spent like a week on Craigslist. Kind of. The good thing is it was the off season, so basically like we started looking in like July, August to rent something starting December 1st, and that was around when a lot of those owners were figuring out what they were doing in the winter. So we saw like 2 or 3 houses and found one. Just like it was kind of weird. You could tell it's like a party house in the summer. Like people would bring like 20, 30 kids in, and like I don't know. It was a little like fratty. Something about it was a little weird, but it was a beautiful house with like huge windows and stuff, and it was great. But I feel like the atmosphere was slightly strange. Like those spirits and parties had like sunken into the floor or something. I don't know. It was weird.
Frat spirits.
Yeah.
So, what like elements from? So this record is called In Heaven, and it's going to be released in September, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what elements that were recorded at the house end up being on the record?
A lot of my keyboards were recorded at the house. The studio that we were working in is kind of geared mostly towards live recording and not too much for like electronic music. You know, like I can't see somebody going there to make a dance record or something. Yeah, and some of the stuff we do sometimes involves stuff like that. So it was easier for me to just do it at home. What we would do is like we'd start with live tracks, and then Logic has this cool thing where you can beat map to like a drum track. Like I could take a kick and snare thing, and then set one for each measure according to like a kick drum hit, and then that would set a tempo map according to that, and then I can sequence stuff on top of that.
So the tempo map would automatically sort of like look at where your peaks are, and then
exactly, yeah, and then you'll use the transients to line it up, kind of, and then you can like sequence stuff, but it kind of like flows with what the live feel of what we recorded. So once we did that, it was fun to like kind of screw around and
play around with keyboard stuff.
Yeah.
So the modular stuff, did that have like a MIDI sync in, or?
Yeah, one of the modules is like a MIDI to controlled voltage converter. So it can, actually there's this company called Expert Sleepers, and they make this module that...
it's a plug-in, right?
Yeah, it's like a full suite of stuff, and what it does is it'll use like a direct coupled audio interface. So like Motu interfaces I think are direct coupled, and then so you can take that and use that to actually send controlled voltage directly. So like I had this like Motu audio interface that has like 8 outputs, which means I had like 8 different control voltage sources to go into the modular. And that was really fun to do. Like there's a song on the record called Kimmy where we basically set up a sequence like of these 2 melodic lines and had like filters and stuff moving, and then Brian, our drummer, and I would just like tracked it while we were like playing with stuff while it was going on. So it's kind of like breathing a little bit and like kind of not too super stale, you know.
You ever find that sort of the electronic elements don't necessarily blend organically with like the live recorded elements?
Yeah, I mean, we are still like really, really new to making electronic music as a band. And we have a really hard time. Like, if we ever use drum machines, like, it's never an easy thing for us. It takes like weeks of like fiddling with the drum set and still being like, this doesn't sound that good. I think it's like a thing. Our like ways of working has to kind of evolve to fit that in a little better. Like right now it's like an either or thing a lot of the time, where it's like this song is like an organic rock song and this one is like machines and electronic music, and we're like working on getting it together, but it's hard.
What's a thing that you wish you knew, like when you first started off recording, that you know now?
I wish I knew that you can afford to be really bold. Like throughout the entire process, we were always like, oh, maybe this is too much, and we're always pulling back. And then by the time it was mixed and mastered, like all those things that would have been sticking out get taken care of in a lot of ways. Like when they use like multi-band compression and stuff like that, like during the mastering phase, a lot of those weird effects that you thought were like way too crazy become this bed underneath the track, you know? And So I think we could have actually gone a lot further in like effects, or just like everything could have been wetter or like a little more distorted, or like just turn the knobs up. I think it's like actually one of our bigger problems as recording people is that it helps us a lot. We like space and don't step on each other's toes too much, but sometimes that also hurts us, because I think a couple of songs of the record could have been a little like wilder and like out there,
More aggressive.
yeah, or just like more stuff going on, or like playing more, or like playing something louder, or like mixing it higher. And we were a little like hesitant, I guess.
So you guys were doing your own mixing, then?
We mixed with Brian and John. Like it's credited to the two guys at the studio, but it was us being like really annoying, irritating people behind their shoulders, being like, "Could you do this? Like, could you make it like this? Like, I think that's too loud." And, that kind of thing.
So it's like you can be, if you trust your mastering engineer, that you can kind of be a little bit more experimentalist.
Yeah, I think we didn't trust ourselves enough, and we didn't trust. I mean, we did trust the people we were working with, but we should have we should just let go. Like, we're a little too like uptight about stuff like that, and I think if you just kind of let it hang out, it'll be a little better.
I mean, is there one person in the band who is kind of designated a producer for tracking sessions, or is it very democratic, like egalitarian?
I think all of us, with maybe the exception of Andrea, who is not as technically musical as the rest of us are. Like, she's a very creative musical person, but like if I told her that a song went from C minor to G minor, she would be like, "What are you talking about? What does that mean? I don't know." So she might have a little like, she has lots of opinions, but like in terms of being a like quote unquote producer, might be a little hard for her. But the rest of us, all of us are perfectly capable of producing a record. So depending, like that's another thing. Like I think all of us tried to have control and ended up pulling it into the middle, instead of like letting one person like move it all the way into their court.
Yeah, right. It's like the best compromise leaves everybody dissatisfied.
Yeah, we had a lot of that. I feel like I'm panning the record. It's good. I think it sounds really good.
Yeah, no, and it's surprising you'd say. I mean, because like Andrea seems to have a really innate sense of like melody anyway, and like and phrasing and stuff.
She has like, it's really nice actually, because we'll be arguing about like really stupid stuff, like, oh, I think the chorus is like a little too slow or something, like, and Andrea would come in and be like, that song sounds like shit, like let's just do another.
It sounds like she's the real producer.
Yeah, like she makes like those like bold, awesome brushstroke sweeps. Like I don't
like the Rick Rubin for you.
Yeah, exactly. And the rest of us are like arguing stupid things that nobody will ever notice.
Well, man, I'm looking forward to hearing it when it comes out.
Yeah. It's fun.